Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the Whiskey Podcast, the podcast that is not affiliated with any Disney IP in any capacity whatsoever. I'm Chew Data, also known as Uncle Wookie, and I am here with my co-host, Mr. Nate Food.
Yep, that's me, Nate Food, not associated with anything Disney ever.
So how are we doing today?
Motherfucking hot out.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, welcome to Southern California during the summer. We actually moved a little further in. We were going to be out there in the vast plastic grass desert.
AstroTurf for the desert.
Yeah, it was decided real quick that we should probably move this under the canopy. Oh, man. What are we drinking today?
We are drinking Monkey Shoulder, batch 27, I think? Yeah, batch 27.
Oh.
It's a blended whiskey scotch. Am I giving today's little info?
Sure, why not?
So, a true Scottish scotch. Monkey Shoulder has floral aromas blended with zesty citrus and fresh fruit, along with subtle hints of honey and spiced oak. Rich vanilla flavor with sweet brown sugar and creamy toffee, balanced with notes of oak and dashes of spice. It should be important to know that Monkey Shoulder is kosher certified. It is also the winner of the IWSC Gold Medal winner. So congratulations, Monkey Shoulder. And this one is a true blend, as the scotch is 100% Scottish, but it uses American whiskey, hence the no E, in order to offset some of the typical flavors. So it is a very balanced, very easy to drink.
Interesting. Yeah, this was got for me, I believe, either for the housewarming or when my first daughter was born. Someone brought me a bottle of this and said, this is what he keeps in his house, and it's surprisingly inexpensive.
Yeah, right here I'm seeing for a 750 milliliter bottle is $30, $29.99.
Yep, and that's the going rate at like Ralph's and everything too. It's like $34. And it is really shockingly good for that price.
Yeah.
Like, you started reading off all that stuff and I go, you know what? I mean, my nose isn't that good and we don't have the right glasses for it, but
yeah,
it definitely goes down smooth. It's not something I wake up the next morning with a hangover from.
Well, what are we pairing it with today? What are you smoking?
Well, I'm still doing my house rolls because, damn, these. I actually talked to the purveyor of the establishment the other day.
Oh, very fancy.
Right. The shopkeep. And they roll them there themselves. These are legit, like, hand rolls by the owners of the company. Because you remember when you were at my bachelor party.
Yeah.
We went to another...
The joke is I wasn't actually at his bachelor party.
Or my wedding. We had my bachelor party at a cigar house, and we did a poker night in the back and everything, and everyone brought just all sorts of whiskeys and scotches, and they used to have a lady out front that would roll cigars for them, and she did these fancy, like, multicolored wrappers, and that was, at that time, one of the best hand rolls I had ever had. So when we came to this shop, and I had their hand rolls, I was shocked at how good they were, because other places, they have their cheap hand roll, $6, $7, $8 a stick, and what the shopkeep was telling me is a lot of those, they're done in a factory, hand-rolled in a factory with
right.
The scrappings of other cigars. So you could, potentially be getting what you're smoking there, a white label,
yeah,
in a generic wrapper, or you could just be getting crap shavings.
Right.
It's so inconsistent. So I was very pleased to hear that they do all this in-house and they actually put some care into it. So I like having these. And at $80 a stick, you can't really go wrong.
Right. And as Nate alluded to, I am smoking a Monte Cristo white label. This was actually the first cigar I had ever had, and kind of set me down that road of vice and misery. And it is an incredibly smooth, incredibly, easy to enjoy cigar.
Now, what is that? What would you classify that as? Is it a Habano? Is it a...
So Monte Cristo was and still has a lot of Cubano roots to it. I don't know where they ended up exporting to, but now that the embargo with Cuba has been lifted, you're starting to see a lot more variation in the white labels as well.
Okay.
So you can get a Cubano white label that specifically is from Cuba. I think the others are
Nicaraguan, Dominicans, right?
El Salvador, things like that.
Yeah, because I mean, me personally, I'm kind of partial to Dominicans.
Yeah.
So I do. That's again, I get the mix. They have a Nicaraguan and a Dominican hand roll there. This would be the Dominican.
Right.
Oh, nice. I hope you enjoyed. I think we got you that for Father's Day.
Yes.
So
this is the last one from Father's Day.
Yeah.
So hopefully this is a long episode so we can savor and enjoy it.
I mean, I can ramble for hours.
Speaking of, so how many other podcasts are you on these days?
Officially, just this one and the Guardians MH cast. I had, what was it, a month ago? I was on 4 different podcasts in 1 week. Thankfully, I only had to edit one of those, being this one. Yeah, it's some days you're in demand, some days you're not. It's been kind of nice. I've been doing a lot of outreach with the community, especially with the mental health side of things. I've had a lot of people come and reach out because it's just been a shitstorm lately, and a lot of people don't know how to deal, and they're isolated, and they're turning towards their communities, such as our Destiny Clan and some of the other stuff that we do, and they're leaning hard on those friends because those are the only people some people are even talking to anymore.
Mm-hmm. For people that happen to listen to this in the future, we're coming to you from the past, but we are still in the mix of COVID-19.
July 17th today? No.
What's today's date? We are the 18th. July 18th. And we're still in the first wave. COVIDiots have, made sure that not only are we still in the first wave, but that first wave is spiking much higher than originally anticipated and hoped for. So we are the laughingstock of the world, us being the United States, because we cannot seem to get our shit together. But for many people, that means that they have not had social interaction and been in a workspace with other people for sometimes upwards of 6 months.
Or, our smiling faces, right?
Yes.
You tune into Twitch, and you've been, Twitch has been having an absolute monster of a quarter because of COVID, because everyone is just, how do you get out there? Who do you talk to? You turn on your TV, and there's your favorite, personality up there playing their games, and people have started streams, people have started an absurd amount of podcasts. Have grown out of this isolation, and ironically, so did ours. Yeah, it was
so
something
for the 14 of you that are listening, thank you.
Our 14 followers there. Yeah, I mean, it started as a kind of we'd been kicking the idea around as a little side passion project, but never really launched it because with you working full-time, me working full-time, raising the 2 kids, we just didn't have the free moment to really sit down and set all this kind of thing up.
Right.
And COVID came along and took everyone's knees out, and we were like, well, we're twiddling our thumbs now. Hey, let's actually get this thing off the ground.
Well, let's do something with it as well. Our whole reason, the reason behind the blog, the reason behind Guardians MH, the reason behind all these other things is we happen to be in a unique situation where we've gone through life for at least the last 35, 40 years and have somehow come out the other end still breathing. And so if we can help by sharing our experiences with someone else, that's exactly what we will do.
I mean, let's be real here.
Drink.
Speaking of which, apparently there's a few drinking games being born out of this crisis as well. The mere
women
mention
of the Whiskey podcast.
well, not just not our women, but in general. Like,
Yeah.
mention of the word pandemic in a podcast, you drink. Any phrase that starts with "in these insert adjective times,"
Right.
like if I hear that one more time, I'm literally going to pull what's left of my hair out.
Oh, then my wife won't have anything to cut. And she's gotten so good at the pandemic haircut.
It's sad. Like the marketing around everything that's going into this, it's beginning to feel disingenuous.
Right. But unfortunately, like, we're now coming to an interesting time where the results of our efforts for decades and the speed at which everything has to adapt and change are colliding full force all at once.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a very ambiguous, a very difficult, and a very scary situation to be in. I know that people that have been relying on unemployment, for example, are a week and a half away from losing the extended benefits that more or less made sure they could pay for rent.
Right.
You know, there's still changes. I've got to jump on a phone call on Monday with Medi-Cal because they screwed up our health insurance policy and are then trying to force our daughter into some policy that's absolutely against everything we want. So it's like, okay, stop. Just go away. You've been more of a hazard or roadblock and obstacle than a help. We'll figure it out on our own. But like all of these systems and all these things, as people try desperately to figure out what's available and what they can do, and it's just kind of the nature of it.
Well, this all these things cost America units, and we don't know where the next batch of that is coming from, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I say that tongue in cheek because everyone's just throw more money at it. And I mean, truth be told, the dollar it's a meaningless currency for most countries. Whatever their currency is, it's not backed on anything, so it's just perceived value anyways. You can just keep printing it, right? So just print more money and pay for the things, and we'll get along just fine, they say, except for that just devalues it even more. And
But we're already in a situation where we have the largest national debt in the history of the United States.
right.
But
again, it's based off of a meaningless currency. That's always what cracks me up about the thing. It's like,
well, it's how all society is.
What are we in debt to?
Right.
Who are we in debt to? Where is this debt going? Right.
China, Russia.
Oh, okay. And if we default on that loan for whatever reason, what's really going to happen?
We'll hope to never find out.
Right. But I mean, it's like really like, hey, we're not paying you meaningless dollars this month. Or we're just going to print some and stick it in a crate and send it to you. Or we'll just, hop on the computer real quick, add a few zeros.
Right. I keep trying to get my bosses to just add extra zeros to my paychecks. That'd be nice.
Well, if you were making minimum wage, that keeps happening.
Yep. What else we got on our plate? It's been 6 months.
DMCA.
7 months of non-stop everything. We're 6 weeks out from schools opening up again?
Nope, they're not. They are not.
Well, remote for here in California.
Yep. Thank you, Governor Gavin Newsom. He takes a lot of criticism for a lot of things, but he literally yesterday put the hammer down and said, schools in my jurisdiction will not be opening until numbers are at a threshold that he finds acceptable. Which, I mean, that's arbitrary. But the fact that he basically told the districts to go F themselves and, made the choice for them, because a lot of the districts were hemming and hawing and asking teachers to go back into an environment that puts their lives and their livelihood in danger, as well as the students.
Yeah. Well, and thankfully we live here in California, but the amount of articles that are going around that right now in Texas, the big business is teachers writing their wills.
Mm-hmm.
Because Texas is going to open their schools, have everyone in there, and they're one of the big hot spots. Florida is also playing the same game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're going to lose a lot of people because of this BS.
And we're going to lose a lot of educators.
The camera just disappeared.
Did it?
Did you turn it off and on again? This is one of those segments that, if you're listening to it later, will be edited out. There we go. Return to your smiling face.
Right. As opposed to the Discord branding.
Right.
We are not sponsored
We are
by
not
Discord.
affiliated or sponsored with Discord in any capacity. Please don't sue us.
Oh my gosh. So explain this joke here, please.
So, as some of our listeners may know, the Whiskey podcast came out of the idea of a blog that I've been working on called the Whiskey with Wookiee blog. And basically, it was a gamer website / new parent / just a place to kind of talk through some of the things that we are experiencing as new parents and hopefully pass on some life lessons. Well, as I was starting to really grow it out and develop it, it became very clear that it was becoming very Star Wars theme centric. And
Which
now
is,
that's,
yeah, I mean, it's something we love. It's something we relate with.
of course, and it's a well-known, it's a bonding thing for a lot of people. But you come up with the simple problem that Star Wars,
we don't
Wookiee,
own that intellectual
Chewbacca,
property. Yeah.
all of those are currently copyrighted and trademarked by the Walt Disney Corporation. So, since I work in the entertainment industry, rather than potentially start issues, we've decided that that portion of it will be rebranded and will have a slightly different focus. At the moment, it is being called the Debuffed Dad, and will be a little bit more open nerd focus, open gamer focus, but still all the same topics we were talking about.
Sure. And I'm sure we'll make a Star Wars reference at some point in time.
Of course. And
But-
at the end of the day, I am still Uncle Wookiee to your kids.
Exactly.
And I am still true dad to my daughter. So,
It will just not be splattered and branded on any sort
Exactly.
of project that we do for the sake of, we don't want to be yanked down for a silly copyright strike.
exactly. And having been in situations and known people who have been in that situation, it's best to avoid it. Because going up against Disney is not fun. And we like to be on their good side.
Yeah, the House of Mouse is pretty powerful.
So, all my Disney colleagues, friends, and lawyers, this one's for you. The clink for good measure. But, no, it's little things like that. Like, I had a friend who was going to potentially do some artwork for the site. And, after we got really excited talking about it, she came back to me like 2 hours later and was like, so I was talking this over with legal counsel because everything she does goes through legal.
Mm-hmm.
And was like, yeah, it's not necessarily that anything we were doing was wrong. It's that any perceived impression or wrong impression that could happen would ultimately put a black mark for working with those corporations later on. And when you're in entertainment, you're going to cross paths with something Disney affiliated sooner rather than later.
Disney, ESPN, that
Well, it's
whole
Disney,
conglomerate.
ESPN, Fox,
Yeah.
Marvel. All of those brands now fall under the same jurisdiction. And they keep growing their influence even more. So, that's just one of those situations that things may begin in fun and with good intentions, but sometimes it's worth tapping the pedal and taking a look around to see what that could actually do to you.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't, affect us so much.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt us right now making that change. Later on, after we'd put much more time and investment into it, it'd be another story. But for now, we're okay.
Yeah, it might get us, a few less search metrics.
Right.
So be it.
So we'll be looking for the three of you in chat and anyone else listening to this to help spread the word. We're here to do good. Just at the Debuff Dad, not at the Whiskey with Wookiee.
I'm actually looking at her viewer list here and need him. At least it's not Hot Local Mom this time.
Right? No, that's your favorite bot.
That one always still cracks me up. And I've seen that one show up in so many other people's
Right.
chats. You got to appreciate the inventiveness of some of it. Wow, I am stammering all over the place.
And you're not even one drink in.
Nope. Welcome to the world of speech impediments. One of the many curses I've grown up with. Between ADHD and a stammer and a lazy eye and being scrawny my entire life. I know it's you hate me for it now.
Yeah.
But
By the way, this guy is over the hill and still has the metabolism of like a teenager.
thankfully, my daughter's got that. Well,
All right.
at least one of them does right now. The other one's looks like she's going to actually carry some shape. What's it like having a normal sized child? I don't know.
I don't know. Mine's supreme. We're happy because hopefully shortly she will be 11 pounds.
Yeah, we look at every time we take them into for any sort of checkup or the milestone checks, and they do the height, weight, head size, body size, and compare them to percentiles. And for the entirety of all of our children's lives, all three of them, it's single digit.
Yeah. No, my child doesn't actually show up on the charts. When you see the standard curve, she is so far delineated from it.
Well, she's on a curve. It's just the lower
her
curve.
own curve.
Yeah.
That's not one of the standard
But it's still a
curves.
curve. Yeah, it's still a curve, and it's still trending in the right direction, and that's really all that matters.
Right.
Right. A lot of people put way too much weight in those metrics. Bump. Yeah. They put a lot of it's fine. They put a lot of stock in those metrics. And my kids. There's something wrong with my kids because they're not on the national average curve. What's wrong? What can we do? And in my case, growing up, because I was on the lower curve as well, my mother started stuffing me with I'd wake up in the morning with a 2-egg protein shake and pasta every night because we were trying to put weight on me.
Mm-hmm.
And it did all of 4 pounds.
Well, let me take this moment to gloat. My baby, who's not even 6 months yet, not only sleeps in her own crib, but sleeps more or less through the night, only waking up for one feeding. How are your kids doing?
Yeah. Oh, boy. No. Not at all. Not at all. It's been a fight, and it's been a fight every freaking night because they are very able, and capable, and this is I love it. I love that they are very much self-actuating, and they know how to communicate their needs.
Mm-hmm.
But they love to communicate them in a very loud volume at 2:00 in the morning.
And high pitched.
And high pitched, yes. And we're getting into the phase of the sibling rivalry is starting to form, to the point where I'm about ready to just set up an octagon in my backyard and say, just go at it.
Well, weren't you guys talking about getting one of those full-size trampolines with the netting around it?
Well, the wife did. We ended up getting just the 2-person trampoline for my youngest's second birthday. And we thought about it. We thought it looked too much like an MMA octagon, and we knew where that was going to go.
Daddy, come play with us. People's elbow to the nuts.
Well, yeah, you were in the spa earlier with my youngest, and she was doing her best Irish river dance on your testicles. Bleep bloop. We'll have to edit that out.
Yeah. Or leave it in. That's his phone announcement.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I have rights to the Red vs. Blue IP that I can use Caboose's bleep bloop.
Right.
So, there we go. DMCA strike from...
we are not affiliated with Red vs. Blue in any
or Rooster
capacity.
Teeth, yeah. The fact that has to be said over and over again.
It doesn't. We're making fun of it at this point.
We are and we aren't, because...
Well, because last episode we were talking about affiliate marketing and, looking at other ways that we could build capabilities and provide better life and more support for our families.
As we prominently display a whiskey in the center of our frame, as we're talking on our matching, Spy versus Spy blue ice microphones.
Exactly.
And our Microsoft Surface laptops.
Microsoft, not affiliated in any way. Blue, however, I'd love to be affiliated with you. So if you hear this, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, and again, if anyone is tuning into this and they have aspirations of starting their own podcast, I do highly recommend Blue's microphones. They're for what they charge for a blue ice.
Yeah, these ice or snowball.
These are snowball ices.
Yeah.
There's an ice. There's just a regular snowball. And then there's the Yeti, which is,
Yeah.
the premium of the three. And for their value package, it's insanely good.
And it's incredible. Honestly, I think I ended up spending more on the arm and the mount that I have here than the mic itself. And the mic itself is incredible.
Mm-hmm. I told you the story about it, why I got my microphone, right?
No.
So,
yes, they got frustrated with you on another podcast.
the other podcast I do, I was using some bargain basement USB mic. I was using originally the headset mic that came with my my gaming headset, and it was just garbage. It was overblown, overdriven, like telephone quality. So for my own streams, I decided to get a USB mic from Fry's Electronics. RIP. I walked in there the other day, and it's literally a ghost town in there.
Yeah.
But that's another story. I went and got myself a legit microphone so that I could possibly improve my sound quality, and it was a great mic. So great that it picked up every sound in the room, every sound outside the room, every time someone walked down the hallway. It was cavernous. And I was doing the podcast for Guardians MH, and my cast lead Joe literally sends me a message. What's your address? I'm sending you something. I'm tired of editing this out. Your microphone is so bad. It wasn't bad, like, my audio quality was solid, but it was just picking up everything. He's like, I need to send you this. And, here I am, oh, okay, this is great. And next thing I know, this blue snowball shows up, and it's a game changer. And I looked it up, and I'm like, what is this, I'm thankful he sent it to me, but shit, I wasn't expecting to drop it's blue. Blue's known to be not necessarily cheap, right? So I looked up the blue snowball ice, and it's like, oh, you can actually get these for $40. That's really absurdly good for the product.
And it's USB plug and play.
Yeah, so
I actually just picked up a new gaming headset myself, since mine that I had died 100%. I got the Logitech Pro X, and it has a blue mic as part of it, and it is incredible.
It is. Like, I mean, as someone that games with you and edits this cast, I will say the Snowball is better.
Yeah.
But as far as, the in-game comms, wow. I mean, I'll probably be picking myself up one when I get the Xbox Series X, because Microsoft in their infinite wisdom decided to say, we're not going to include a optical output, which is how my current Astros interface. Right. Sad.
I still have to plug in the USB portion of it to test it out, but right now it's all going through the headset fine. It goes through the computer fine.
And speaking of Microsoft, let's get into a little bit of some of the gaming news here. And
all right.
I'm going to say this tongue-in-cheek because it's a running joke with all of the podcasts I'm part of. We are not going to talk about Animal Crossing, but it needs to be mentioned. It's the it's the elephant in the room, and the turnip prices are too high.
Yeah.
Microsoft has made an announcement and I guess Verge picked it up. And Verge is, I don't know, I guess they're known to be a little questionable at times. One of the I listen to them as in podcast form as well, because it's fairly informative and they tend to be truthful. So when they dropped this article that Microsoft is going to include their xCloud service for free as part of the Game Pass Ultimate.
Wow.
Right. Now, anyone that knows me knows that I'm kind of a little bit of a Stadia fanboy. I hopped onto the technology early because I'd love to. I like the premise behind it. The whole thought process of gaming in the cloud fascinates me. So it was something I was willing to invest in and try to see grow. And Stadia, for when it works amazing. Like, I've literally sat in your living room and like, crap, I didn't bring my Xbox over, but I want to pop on real quick and play a little Destiny. I grab my controller, I log into a Chrome browser, and there's Destiny, and I'm up and running in seconds. Microsoft said, we can do that. And they have been betaing their xCloud service for about the same amount of time that Stadia has existed, and it's compelling. It's very good, and it gives you access to their. You can console stream, or you can stream from the cloud directly from server farms that they've built that are literally Xbox One S's.
Nice.
Daisy chained together, and it works really well. Like to the point where I'm probably going to cancel my Stadia subscription.
Microsoft overall has been doing a good job with trying to provide bundled package services that are just more effective when they're done together. Now, even how like you can buy one game and it's now going to be platform backwards compatible, and you can play it on your PC as well, and all of these other different functions that before were so limited.
And now they're doing the smart buy, the smart purchase, where if you buy something for Xbox Now, when the Series X comes out and the upgraded version of that comes out, you've already purchased the game. You don't have to buy it again. That again, game changer.
Well, it's huge. I mean, how much money have people spent on Skyrim, just going from platform to platform?
Exactly. And we're getting to this point where cross-save and cross-play is almost becoming a necessity. It's no longer just that'd be a nice feature to have. It's almost becoming necessary.
Well, we're seeing the success of it. I want to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, that Fortnite was one of the first to do truly cross-play.
Rocket League was the first one. Yeah, was the first one. Fortnite picked up on it. PUBG, another battle royale, has picked up on it. And a lot of games have now decided at least to implement some semblance of it, either cross-save, in the case of Destiny that we play. You know, if I carry a character, I main on Xbox, but I can fire up my Stadia, and all the progress I've done on my Xbox carries over to Stadia, and then I run a quick session there, and I get my goods, pop back on my Xbox, and there they are.
Yep.
And this was something that when the next generation of consoles was being announced, I was very much keen on Microsoft's Sony killer being these bundles, right? The hardware itself they're almost in lockstep. Like,
well, I mean, this is the big thing that a lot of people need to realize, is that Sony ultimately has the largest market share, and that's not necessarily because the systems are that different. It's that the Microsoft systems are really targeted towards a bundled, use this device for multiple purposes in the United States. Sony has their products everywhere around the world. And so when you're looking at that share of, users, it's 100% about quantity, not necessarily quality.
Right.
And yeah, your PS4s are going to have, in many cases, better quality, but you're going to be limited to that's it.
Right. So, the proposition now, and this, we still, the new consoles drop in November.
Yeah, they're going to drop around Christmas time.
Right, just before Christmas time. We still don't have pricing on them.
Yeah.
It's literally and if you pardon the cringy term, it's literally a Mexican standoff between Xbox and Sony on who's going to drop their pricing profile first. And when this first started becoming a topic, a lot of the groups that we play in, because we're Destiny fans, it's very, very heavy PS4. Right, the majority of the population is over there, and it's splitting. PC holds a good share. Xbox holds a minuscule share. So we get ragged on all the time for being Xbox guys, right? Like, oh, enjoy the 12 people you play with. We won't even talk about what they say to me about my Stadia stuff. Like, oh yeah, you can go flawless in trials every weekend because there's 8 people playing at any given point in time, and they're not necessarily wrong, but I've always said, no matter what Sony does, no matter how Sony prices their console, Xbox is going to be able to sell at a loss because of the package that they provide with it. Game Pass Ultimate is absurdly successful. I believe it turned a total of $10 million of revenue for Microsoft this year. Like,
Minimum.
Yeah. So now to include something like game streaming, where I can literally pair one of their new controllers up to my phone and fire up my Xbox game on my phone and pop in and play on the go. It's another avenue of access that Sony doesn't have. Like, they don't have anything
Right.
in that realm. It's been rumored.
And the nice thing, though, is, as many of you know, we talked last episode a bit about the whole Mixer situation and Mixer going over to Facebook. But in return, Facebook has made agreements with Microsoft to utilize a significant amount of their infrastructure, both from their cloud services as well as their gaming services. So you now have two of the most powerful platforms that are going to be combining efforts, and both winning in areas where they're not necessarily competing with each other. And that, I think, changes the game a lot from what they can offer the end user and what they can offer the content creator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's a big power play, and that was one of the things I had said early on was the streaming side of it, albeit in its infancy, it's going to be a key piece in that package that lets Microsoft be successful outside of console sales, which Sony learned real hard and fast with the PlayStation 3. You got to price that thing right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens November, especially with, ironically enough, Destiny, our game, got pushed back. What?
Yeah, they're now doing November 10th.
Right, it was September 22nd was the original drop date?
Yeah.
So
originally September 20th.
20th, okay.
I think. September 20th, 22nd, something like that, was the original drop date in which they were going to begin vaulting all, or not all, but a huge chunk of some of their older content. And new expansion, Beyond Light, as well as the beginning of Season 4, was going to be dropping at the same time. But due to the pandemic and the fact that Bungie Studios cannot actually be open for most of its staff, and everyone's been working remote, they've decided to, you know what?
Let it cook a little more.
We're going to let it cook longer, let our teams actually finish polishing it and making it right, rather than trying to rush something and just having bugs out the wazoo from when it opens.
Right. That's just, it's, and a lot of people are upset about it, but they very quickly forgot that a year ago, or 2 years ago, when Destiny 2 launched, it also got delayed, 5 weeks?
Right.
Something like that, for similar things. They wanted to cook it better, and they didn't have Activision looming over their shoulder and pushing shareholders and, pushing these metrics, and they wanted to get it done right. So they did, and largely a success. So it's just, I can't not notice the fact that they pushed the release date right up against the new console stuff.
Yeah, and it's the same week as a number of other big drops that the gaming community has been waiting for. So that's the new date, roughly within a week of when Cyberpunk has been pushed to. There's another one.
Hellblade?
Yeah,
the sequel to the... I forget that Senua's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that one.
Yeah. They're going up against some pretty heavy hitters.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know if that was the best play. What was it? Was it Battlefield that decided it wanted to drop at the same time as, 3 other AAA IPs, and they got lost. They got absolutely hammered and lost in the shuffle of releasing at the same time. So I don't know that play was smart as far as trying to go up against those guys.
Yeah, but at the same time, Destiny knows its community. It very well knows that the people that are going to pick it up day one are the people that are the diehards that are going to come back to it no matter what, even if they take a season or two off. Whereas other games that are just releasing it, it's, hey, here's your package deal. Maybe there's a season pass that goes with it, but that's it. It's done. This is a continuing and evolving thing. I'd say it's closer to a MMO.
They're trying to get there. They really are.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're clear of that.
Right.
Sunday riders, man, or Saturday riders. God, I wish I could hop back on a motorcycle again. I've missed it.
Just one more thing at this point.
What's that?
Getting on a motorcycle right now.
Yeah.
One more thing that we all want to do, but also realize is a bad idea at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I sold my motorcycles. It was just something I knew I couldn't get back on, and anyone that listens to this that rides has always known the adage. It's not, if you're gonna go down, it's when you're gonna go down. And the prospect of doing that with two small children was just something I couldn't stomach. That especially living in Los Angeles, you get out there, it is absolutely crazy on the roads. So,
although these days, since everyone's supposed to be locked at home, maybe the roads
in
are
these
easier.
unprecedented times,
Indeed.
drink.
Take a drink, yeah.
Continue.
No, in these unprecedented times, you might actually have a more successful ride now than you could have long before.
Yeah. No, just and I miss it. And I've got a buddy of mine that I've helped out, and he says anytime you want to go, I've got 3 extra bikes you can hop on, and it's itching. Like that itch is there.
Now, my wife keeps talking about wanting to get back on a bike.
Yeah.
She never drove herself, but she would always be willingly a passenger.
That was funny, yeah, because like when my wife and I first got motorcycles, she thought we were crazy, and then she hopped on the back one day, and it was just like, oh, I get it now. I don't want to ride one,
Right.
but I get where you're coming from now, and I'm happy with the 99% experience of just being on the back of the bike with the wind blowing through my helmet, right, like that free open road.
But until we get to that point, I guess it's just cigars and booze.
That's not a bad thing to do.
Right? We can have worse vices.
Well, these are pretty bad. These.
Well, I don't know. Your daughter with her powdered sugar face this morning. So his youngest, a 2-year-old girl, always eats donuts by attacking them from the top. So she had a powdered donut today. And needless to say, it looks like she's been taking advantage of some of Columbia's finest.
God, I love my kids. God, I love them. They drive me insane sometimes, but you get those moments where, they literally pie in the face themselves with a powdered donut and look like they stepped out of a Colombian factory.
Yeah.
Yeah, with a big smile on their face, or now they're singing their favorite Disney show tunes. At the top of their lungs. Like,
let it go while covered in white powder.
Right?
Speaking of drugs, are we going to be able to Benadryl kids so we could play video games anytime soon? Or
it's tempting. It's so tempting. Just to drug them up and go. That's bad parenting tip 101 right there.
There was that a joke ad commercial campaign that went around for Sleepy Time, and like in the middle of the commercial they just have a doctor looking and goes, "This is just chloroform." But I was like, "Oh, our kids never sleep and they're always loud and fighting, but just a little bit of Sleepy Time and we get our lives back." Then there was the spoof, all the people that are like, "I raised 2 dogs, I can raise kids." And so it was 2 dog owners that had twins, and so you saw them being crate trained, and newspapers spread along the ground.
Oh my God. Having kids was one of the best life-changing experiences I've ever had. And I don't regret it for a minute.
Agree. But
I say this now at, what is it, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Ask me again in 12 hours. Then I will tell you, never, don't do it. Don't, just abstinence. Don't even, no.
Just get them snipped and tucked now.
They're minions. They will drive you absolutely crazy. And then they will do that one thing that just makes you go, aww. Like, again, I'm going to bring up our buddies, the Verging on Stupid podcast. And I've been loving them. They just had their kid, and one of them posted the other day, is like, oh, They say kids is hard, but I'm up at 2:30 in the morning staring at my kids, and this is the best thing the best moment in my life, and it's like.
And the other one responded, yeah, but maybe like 7:30, 8:30?
Right. Like, new dad tweets. I remember. I made my share.
Uh-huh.
I'm in a rough spot now where they're just absolutely fighting everything we do, and they're establishing their own paradigms.
So they've got a 3-nager.
Right.
And terrible 2s. And they're not on any schedule because of COVID.
Their codependency is rivaling your wife and my wife.
Yes. To unhealthy codependencies. No, apparently they insist that therapists say that their codependency is perfectly healthy.
It is. It's great.
It's magical. We should keep doing it. It's not like we see you every day and will, as long as summer break continues. And the excuse is we have a pool. That's just an excuse to cover up the facts.
Les sigh.
But hey, that gives us more reasons to drink and smoke.
Yeah, I mean, if you were looking for a compelling reason to pick up a couple of bad habits, like, drinking way too much and maybe smoking way too much, have kids. That'll do it. Because you're not going to sleep.
Yeah.
Coffee
You're
is
also
your
not
friend.
going to have a whole lot of disposable income at that point either, so.
Streaming is free. Podcasts are free.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we're doing it.
Yeah, we should stream at some point.
You need
to do that, right?
Yeah, you need to do it more than we do. All I have to do is click a button. I just got to remember to click the button.
Right.
A lot of it has to do with, by the time I get on, tonight, I had to put a shirt on for this podcast because, terms of service don't allow for, male nips.
Bow, now, now, now.
And so, yeah, a lot of times I've been
This
getting
would
on.
be a different type of show.
Right.
Why, hello there, Mr. Nate Fu.
I've been getting on, and I'm literally in my pajamas, and I just want to get on. I want to knock some games out, and I don't want to click the button because I've got to get all dolled up, right? Got to set the mic, and I've got to set the lighting, and I got to make sure everything's perfect. I don't want to do that. It's hard.
Remember how he mentioned he has ADHD? He's not kidding when he says he has to do all of that.
I mean, you're not wrong. The setup for this, we're actually getting good at this. I'm surprised.
Yeah, this was what, a 20-minute setup?
Yeah,
including pouring the drinks and lighting the cigars.
And the fact that the stream is actually coming to you from 2.5 miles away.
Uphill both ways.
Right? I'm sitting in a backyard. We're on a Discord call. My computer back at home, which is 2 miles away, is broadcasting this out to everyone. Like, we've got it down. But those early days of getting it right were, I'm just so nitpicky on stuff. Mm-hmm. I've learned to get better. Like, you hear a car driving by, and that used to drive me batshit crazy.
Well, now, namaste.
Namaste.
Breathe.
Go away from me.
There's that also.
I think we have reached a good stopping point for the week, for the 2 weeks.
Well then, why don't you let everyone know where they can find us?
Well, they can find the podcast currently streaming live on Twitch hopefully every Saturday. I think we're going to try to do Saturdays for
every other Saturday.
Yeah, every other Saturday for the foreseeable future on twitch.tv/ChewData2020.
You can also download us off of iTunes, Google, and Spotify,
yeah.
As well as Podbean, which is where we host through. We are not affiliated with Podbean in any capacity. You can find Mr. Nate Fu at GGNateFu on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And you can reach me, ChewData2020, at Twitter and Instagram. And eventually we'll have a dedicated page up for this, and probably a Facebook page.
Sure.
We have a Whiskey Pod Twitter account and a Whiskey Pod Instagram account that we just have to remember to use.
Right.
Social media is hard, but we'll get there. But for all of you listeners who are staying with us and helping to spread the word and somehow are not sick of us already,
Yeah, I appreciate it. We watch the numbers, we see them, and we appreciate you dropping in and giving us a download, giving us a listen. And again, we don't ask for any money. We just ask that you share this with someone that you think would enjoy what we
Or
talk
someone
about.
that needs to hear some of the things we're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
So on that note, I am True Data,
I am Nate Fu.
signing off.
Have a good night.